All right, let's get into your top five, bottom five of the weekend, especially. And then we got a little boxing to talk about because Haney's in the news for setting up a new fight. And then obviously the fight you probably won't watch this Friday between Paul and Tyson. But let's talk about your top five, bottom five first. Let's bring it up.
So here we go. Top five. And off the top, this is more of a career achievement award. Dylan Gabriel, I get it. He's been around since the Reagan administration, but he has procured great numbers. And I believe he has produced now the most amount of touchdowns at the FBS level, 179. He's been a very consistent, steady force. He's been the perfect engineer of that high-powered Oregon Duck offense, which is headed to the playoffs and is a real threat to the national title. I've just really enjoyed his consistency this season. He's been everything Oregon has wanted post-Bo Nix. Number two, can we give big game Lane Kiffin some credit? Got in there and did the damn thing in the Grove. They out-hit, they outplayed, they out-everything Georgia.
Hey, he's done something, Steve, that James Franklin hasn't done. Beat a big top five team.
Yes, he did. And that was a gutty, hard-nosed, tough physical victory in the rain. Jackson Dart made some key throws coming back from injury. And Georgia's offense, we'll get to that a little bit later. Number three, I got to give the half-crouching Tiger, Marcus the Freeman, some credit. We all buried him after Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. That team has steadily gotten better. And for better or worse, I know people are going to hate it, the Domers look like they're going to be, yes, say it with me in Jim Moore style, playoffs? Talking playoffs? Yeah, I'm not kidding you. Notre Dame's going to be in the playoffs. Good job by Marcus Freeman. Then Travis Hunter, again, continues to do great things. I heard, forgot who said it, Joel Klatt said it. If you include the penalty plays, which don't count as official plays, he played 170 snaps. That's amazing. And he's still a productive guy, makes big plays all over. He is right in the thick of the Heisman race. I don't think what we're seeing from him will ever be done again. And the number five, Tennessee's defense is the most overlooked group in the nation. People don't talk about them enough, how good they are at all three levels. Do you know they have not given up, Coach, more than 18 points in a game the whole season? If Nico Iamaleava can just be decent and hit a few throws, this team can go very deep into the playoffs. But again, they have not given up more than 18 points a game. This is a dominant, elite unit with NFL guys all over the place, led by James Pierce and Omar Norman Lott. Very big
hey, a really good friend of mine is a big reason for it. Mike Eckler. I've known him for about 30 years. Great dude, man. He's a backer coach there, and that defense and those linebackers are going to be coached up. X been around a lot of places.
Yeah,
Alabama, you name it.
Look what they did to Alabama, who just absolutely destroyed LSU. I'm just telling you that Tennessee defense is national championship caliber. Now, bottom five. Hate to do this. It hurts me more than it hurts you, but I had to watch this thing live. The Miami defense. Here's the thing that's really disappointing.
They're the worst of the worst is what you're telling me right now.
Yeah. I mean, look, the defensive line has been disappointing. It has not been as good as I hoped or thought. The defensive backs have been even worse than I thought they would be. Cam Kitchens, James Williams have really been missed. In fact, the Corey Couch, our nickelback, and Jaden Davis, two guys that made NFL camps. I don't know if they made rosters. They weren't even drafted. I take them right now in a heartbeat. I'm just saying, outside of O.J. Frederick, there's nobody in that secondary that I would say, okay, carrying on to next year, I'd like to have you on this squad. I don't see a lot of football IQ either. It's one thing to be slow, but when you're slow and not smart with the low football IQ, that's a deadly combination. And look, I'll be honest, the offense only scored 23 points. But the problem is when you play Georgia Tech, Coach, with the style of play, you may only get 9 to 10 possessions. They shorten the game. And when you give up over 250 yards of rushing to a one-arm quarterback and they're not throwing the ball, that's bad defense, even if you, quote, unquote, only give up 28 points. And they've been bad basically outside the Florida State game for about a month and a half. Now, The other one, LSU. Wow. You guys died in Death Valley. In fact, you guys showed no life. Jalen Milroe just ran for another 80 yards on you guys. Bad defense. And they were hoping that Blake Baker, the new coordinator, would be able to clean it up. But Glenn Dorsey ain't walking through that door. Tyrann Mathieu ain't walking through that door. And they're going to have to overhaul that whole roster on that side of the ball, much the way Miami does. But to lose the way you did on national TV primetime, absolutely embarrassing. And I think Notre Dame fans were kind of smiling because they're thinking, you know what? We're glad we have this other guy instead of that red-ass Kelly. Number 3, Coach. Mike Norvell has thrown a couple of his assistants under the bus. And I've always said when you do that, your job is next. What do you think about what Norvell did?
This is what they have to do. The agents and these collectives and these other people now are so involved that they tell them if you want to have any shot of saving your job, you have to fire X, Y, and Z. We see it year in and year out. This has been happening for years and years, Steve. Nowadays, it's just more prominent, I think, because of the money involved. So, but what he said, though, is what throws me off. I just don't. You can't do that, but I get it. Usually they're friends, Steve. Usually they hire their friends.
Not anymore.
Exactly. Usually they hire their friends, Steve. And what they do is when they fire their friends, they actually pay them more money, and they become friends later. And then they say, "Hey, when I'm out of here, I'll get a new job. You're back with me." But but I got to fire you right now. You know, it's part of the business. All the assistants know that, but you don't call them out and all that shit. I think there's something going on there, man. There's a bad situation is brewing right there. And what I'm hearing, rumors are, another JUCO product, of course, a guy I know, the offensive coordinator, a good friend of mine over at UNLV, has been contacted. And
that's a rising young talent.
But here's the thing. Don't take that Florida State job as the OC right now.
Well, can I just tell you something? This reminds me a lot of what happened at Miami when they got blown out in the Peach Bowl, 40-3. End of the 2005 season, and that's when I knew, Coker, you're out of here. But to save his own butt, he got rid of 2 legends. The great Arthur Francis Kehoe, and one of my favorite guys, and one of the great football coaches we've ever had, Don Solinger.
Hey, I got an Art Kehoe story, so I've known Art a long time. Art walked into the AFCA coaching convention to speak about O-line play. He gets up on the fucking podium. There's about 2,000 people in there to listen to O-line play. He's a fiery guy. He's fucking wants to go at you. He's in there. I've known him forever through recruiting. So I'm in the front talking to him, bullshitting with him before he goes on stage. He goes, JB, watch this shit. And he goes and gets his bag out, and it's nothing but Miami shit. And he just starts fucking throwing it all over the fucking place at coaches. He goes, you guys want some Miami gear? And guys are taking shit. He's like, well, I was just fired from Miami. I'm now going to Ole Miss. And he's like, yeah. I'm going to be in Mississippi. I've never even fucking been to Mississippi. Yeah. That's a true story right there.
When he fired those 2 icons to save his own butt because of his soft, limp-wristed, mealy-mouthed leadership, I lost all respect for him, and he got fired the next year. Yeah. Don Solinger, to me, is one of the great football men of all time, Dade County legend, and I felt so bad because if it was done his way, I think that program would have been okay. Every time I talk to Don Solinger, I learn something about the game of football. In fact, I saw him about a month ago. I had a great lunch with him. Also, number 5, officials in the BYU-Utah game. I'm sorry that I didn't like that call, Coach.
Hey, did you hear what Weddle had to say? Did you hear what Weddle said yesterday, though? He said it was a hold, though. I mean, Weddle said it about his own team. I mean, I don't know. I mean, hey. Yeah, I get it. I didn't get to see it, Steve. I didn't get to see your Miami team. I was on the water, and I kept getting people blowing me up on Twitter, like, check on Steve, make sure he doesn't jump in the water with the anchor attached to his ankle. And I'm like,
why would I do that? Hey, guys, I'm like,
Steve's in Atlanta, and Steve don't care like that. He's gonna eat ribs next weekend at Palooza.
Guys, don't take this the wrong way. Don't ever take my incredibly great knowledge and intelligence for taking this out of perspective. No, my life is good. Probably better than yours. The game is not going to impact me that much. Trust me.
You get to go to the game.
I mean, I'm disappointed, and I felt bad for some of the players. When I saw Xavier Restrepo after the game, where the kids were rushing on, and I saw him hug his mom, I felt bad for that guy. Because we need 50 more guys like him. Yeah. We still don't have enough guys like him. But It is what it is. I had a great time.
Especially knowing, it was like the program, and Latimer knew that his career was over.